Hey Internet, Eric here. I know I mentioned in the most recent short, and I think I mentioned it in the Rocky 4 video, is that after I finish discussing the Rocky franchise here on the channel, my main thing, unless otherwise requested, is going to be movies I've never ever seen, and that's going to be the theme from the beginning of the year all the way to the end for the channel. But also, there was something like that. I remembered that both Frenzy and fellow YouTuber Jennifer Tochi mentioned. It was during our, I guess you'd say, our podcast episode and live stream of Twilight Zone the movie that came out last year. Go check out that video; it'd be nice. We discussed Twilight Zone the movie, and I talked about how I read the novelization, which was written by Robert Bloch, who wrote Psycho of all things. There wasn't that many differences in that, other than the fact that Vic Morrow's character was much more racist, and I guess you'd say, the order of the stories were not the same as the film. And then Frenzy, and then during that live stream, Jennifer Tochi agreed that I should possibly go and start discussing movie novelizations. And I said I would do it if the movie novelization is quite different from the actual film. Because I went through a phase where that's all I was collecting. Gremlins, I collected Howard the Duck. I think I might have Poltergeist in there somewhere. So I finally did it by the end of last year, Christmas time. Because today I'm going to discuss movie novelization of Gremlins. Now, what a movie novelization is where they take, as you can see, they're based on the screenplay. So what is written, but before it is the final filmed product. And I really wanted to read this one because I wanted to read it once I got it. I wanted to wait till December, Christmas time, because it is my favorite Christmas movie. I try to watch it every year, and I was also inspired because I had Derek J. Hoover from the Yesterday's podcast. He was a guest as an interview a couple months ago. I don't remember. But for December, they were doing nothing but Christmas films or Christmas themed episodes. They did a couple episodes on the chaos that came from people wanting to buy Cabbage Patch dolls and Tickle Me Elmo. But their first episode was Gremlins. I know Christmas, and they also had a Christmas story. That was a great way to end December. And they mentioned how crazy and different the Gremlins novelization is. And I had already finished the book by the time I had read or I had listened to the episode. So let's get into it because it is quite different. First off, it starts out really fucking weird because it's really well written. 278 pages. And it is written by George Gipe, Gipe. And it starts off really fucking weird because by page 2, the second page, we find out the origin of the Mogwai. Centuries ago on another planet, Mogturman was a scientist who was set out to produce a creature that was adaptable to any climate and condition, one that could easily reproduce itself, was gentle, and highly intelligent. So they're fucking aliens created by a scientist who wanted to basically make the perfect creature. You find out that Gizmo was like the best, like the one in a million type of specimen. He didn't die right away. He didn't succumb to elements, stuff like that. And he, I guess you would say, is like Alpha 1, something like that. Because you find out anything that reproduces from him is quite different. They're not as strong. They're not as smart, and so on. So you find out that they're fucking aliens. And then we go to Randall Pelser is looking for Gizmo. He's looking for, computer just shut off, looking for a present for Billy, but he is going through various stores in Chinatown. I'm only going to talk about the differences. Various stores in Chinatown until he is pulled in by Mr. Wing's grandson. And we get to see more knickknacks and stuff that are in the store. We get to the conversation about Gizmo is very, very short. And for some reason, Mr. Wing likes to feed Gizmo garbage. I'm talking about like little garbage. He feeds him like washers, those packing peanuts, the styrofoam things that you use to ship product out. He's feeding them that. And what I like about this, there's also parts of this book that is written from Gizmo's point of view. You know what I mean? He's tired of eating this crap, but he does it to appease the kind old man that is taking care of him. more differences I notice are we get the whole Mr. Futterman stuff, the Gremlins. We learn about the Gremlins from Mr. Futterman very early in the beginning. Billy's car is broken down and he has to get to his job. He actually gets into the snowplow with Mr. Futterman, and Mr. Futterman talks about how crappy Billy's car is and how good his American-made snowplow is because of the Gremlins. You know the whole story, World War II, all that jazz. Eventually, Billy gets tired of it, and he's walking to the bank. We get to see how the imported Bavarian snowman, your dog broke it this morning. We get to see how that snowman is broken because Billy, out of the goodness of his heart, actually saved Mrs. Deagle's cat from getting run over. Returns the cat, and then they walk away. Barney knocks into the snowman. So even though the cat almost died, Billy returned it. She still wants to kill that fucking dog. Gerald is much more of an asshole in this. The Judge Reinhold character, he's much more of a butt kisser. He's very creepy, even uncomfortably creepy, trying to put the moves on Kate in this. Let's see here. What else is new? Pete, the Corey Feldman character. There's more to him. There's like a subplot of him trying to, get up the guts to ask a girl out. There's a subplot of Billy and Kate finding out that Mrs. Deagle has got some deal in with the bank. And she's going to sell all of her properties. Like, how she's a realtor. We've seen the family that, they're late on their rent. And then she says, you know what to ask Santa for, don't you? That type of bullshit. She and the bank are planning to sell all of her properties to like a nuclear power plant type of thing. And everyone's going to be fucking homeless, including Billy, including Kate. It's really fucking weird. All this weird, unnecessary stuff. Let's get to the Mogwais and the Gremlins and stuff like that. We'll cut to the chase. Eventually they are born because I don't remember if Pete still accidentally knocks water off onto them or not. But anyways, 5 Mogwai pop out. And what I like about this is, even though they're chirping and they're not in English, they're mumbling to each other, we get to know what they're saying to each other. I like that. We know how they're communicating to each other. We get to understand what they're saying. And eventually Stripe is he's pushing on Gizmo to try to figure out what their weaknesses are, their strengths, because only Gizmo knows for sure, because he's Alpha 1, like I told you. And there's a really cool scene of trial and error where you find out the very next day, well, one of the Mogwai is missing. Why? Because he got locked outside one time, and he actually melted in the sun. Pete and Kate and Billy, because Billy was up all night with the Mogwai, fell asleep, accidentally stood up Kate, and showed her Gizmo. So for the whole entire fucking book, Kate knows Gizmo exists, aside from after the bar scene with in the movie. Anyways, they go and examine this dead body of this Mogwai. This I guess you say freeze-dried lump of hair type of thing. So by trial and error, that's how Stripe and the other Mogwai knows that sunlight will kill them. So it's a really cool scene. I would have kind of liked to see how that Mogwai would, kind of sizzled in the sun. Let's see, what else is different? The professor, his death is a lot different. After he deals with the Mogwai, the new Mogwai, the Mogwai turns into the Gremlin. He's still trying to feed it, coax it out with like a candy bar. It grabs the candy bar, eats it, and wants more type of thing. There's more to this, because instead of the professor just reaching under the table, and you hear the bite and him screaming, and then you just see the pain in his face and the Gremlin, excuse me, laughing. We get to see what actually happens. The Gremlin pounces on him. It claws his chest. It bites him on the shoulder. And then that's the end of the chapter. Because, I just remembered, what I like about this is, there are chapters in this book, you see? And what I like about this is after they give the new Mogwai to I can't find it. They give the new Mogwai to the professor. They just realized, we forgot to tell him that not to feed the Mogwai after midnight. And Pete's Corey Feldman. Pete says, I don't know what chapter it is, I want to find it. Pete says that he's going to ride his bike over there later, and he won't forget to tell the professor. I can't fucking find it. He won't forget to tell the professor, don't feed it after midnight. The next chapter it says like chapter 12, Pete forgot. Then we go to chapter 13. So it's a smartly written book too. But then when Billy goes in to find the professor, he finds him dead on the ground. But instead of like part one in the original film, he's face down with a needle in his butt. His whole body is covered with hypodermic needles. And I think yesterday's mentioned that in the podcast about a lot of the darker shit that's in the original screenplay. Other things that I want to remember. The reason why Kate hates Christmas is told early on in the story. And we do get the story about her dad, but like her dog died on Christmas. She had her appendix taken out on a Christmas. So it's a lot of weird shit. Let's get to the other thing. Mr. Futterman is actually killed in the book. First off, it's a great scene. He does go out to check the antenna, and he actually sees the gremlins on the antenna. And he runs back in the house. He gets a shotgun, and he's picking off gremlins. He's shooting them off the roof of his house. Then the snowplow comes out, and it plows him through the wall. So he is, as of this book, 1984, he is killed. So, we thought him and his wife died in the original movie. They show up safe in part 2. But as of this, he is killed. Mrs. Deagle, let's see here. She is killed off screen, but we do get to see a little bit of that scene. The gremlins are not carolers. No, the gremlins are carolers, but she doesn't throw the water on them or threaten to throw the water on them. She just shoos them away with a broom. And what I like about this is after Stripe multiplies by going to the YMCA and jumping in the water, we get little scenes of the gremlins have already stolen coats and stuff like that. We get news reports throughout the book of the different chaos that they are causing. I don't think it's Rock and Ricky Rialto telling the news reports, but we're getting different news reports about the stoplights and, the stop signs are now missing. Cinder blocks are being put up so people can't get out of the city. Things are set on fire. We do get the mailbox scene, stuff like that. But they're now dressing in little coats and they're walking around with little kids. Like their gremlins are attacking children, clawing them, stuff like that. The scene where I love how, let's just backtrack a little bit, when they first pop out of the cocoons and they're attacking Gizmo. Stripe is trying to get information. Gizmo won't fucking tell them. They don't use them as a dartboard. They're literally like throwing them as like a fastball to each other, and that's how he ends up down the laundry chute. I'm trying to think. I think the mom still kills them the same way in the kitchen. She does not die. She does live in this book, although in the original screenplay she was killed and her head was rolled down the stairs. But she does not die in the book. She does live. What else is there? I was a little disappointed there isn't much to the, I guess you would say, movie theater scene. But when we get to the end, it's really, really different. Rand shows up early. He finally gets there early. He gets there at the time after the movie theater has exploded because he sees the flames in the distance. He actually runs into Billy, not like in the car, but they bump into each other as Billy is running to JCPenney or wherever the fuck it is, Macy's, to get Stripe. And he joins him. And long story short, the scene in the department store is shorter. It's basically just the scenes with the saw blades and the crossbow. Stripe nearly kills him with the crossbow until Kate is able to get the light on. And Rand Pelser actually helps save the day because he has that fucking bathroom buddy with him. He saves Billy's life by squirting the shaving cream in Stripe's face and distracting him so Billy can get away. Let's see here. Barney, I was going to say Barney, he helps fight Stripe a little bit. He is not actually tied up in the, I guess you would say, in the Christmas lights and hung outside, early on. He is actually blackmailed into thinking he's destroyed the house because there's a lot of stuff with the little Mogwais in the home causing trouble with the mom before they become gremlins. And they want to get Barney out of the house, or Barney blamed for all their mischief. So, like, one of the gremlins eats his dog food and spits it on the floor, so it makes it look like Barney puked it up. And then, they eat half of a cake, and then they shove the cake all over Barney's face, so he gets blamed and put in the basement, so they can tie him up. Like, they literally hog tie him in the basement type of stuff. Gizmo still helps save the day with the Barbie car, and he helps undo like the rope that shines the light into Stripe, because like I said, it's mainly the saw blades and the arrows. There is no gun, but Stripe does get into the water fountain, and then it hits him just in time, and he's kind of just defeated like that. A little disappointed. I would have liked more description of what happened to him as he melted, but it is what it is. And then the movie ends. Mr. Wing shows up, gives him the money back, basically tells Rand that, no, this is mine. Rand actually fucking argues with him. Instead of, like, what Hoyt Axton realized, she's like, no, let him take Gizmo, I fucked up. Rand's like, no, I bought him, he's mine, type of thing. And then Mr. Wing's like, basically, fuck you, my grandson sold him, I didn't, here's your money. Give me the Mogwai. And we do have that sweet scene where Gizmo says bye, Billy, but he forces himself. This is the first time Gizmo is able to speak English. So it ends on that same sweet note. I do recommend getting this. You can find many copies on eBay. It's really well written. I love that whole chapter 15 or whatever it is Pete forgot. I love hearing the Gremlins discuss, talk to each other. We get to hear Stripe to talk to Gizmo, even though we can't understand them on screen. We know what they're fucking saying. The gremlin that kills the professor is actually killed by Billy in this book. So that's a neat difference. Highly recommend. You can find it on eBay. I got this on eBay for like $10, something like that with shipping. But I'm sending this to my buddy Derek, because in the episode he said he really wanted to get his hands on it. So Derek, this is coming to you. And now let's get to a little bit of an admonishment. If you don't know what that is, admonishments are they did it in what episode was it? Anyway, it's one of the December episodes where they talked about things that they had gotten wrong. Well, I'm going to play my nerd, and I'm just going to do, well, actually, during the Gremlins episode, which is a great episode, they mentioned that Mr. Wing was played by Key Luke. And I don't know who it was, if it was Powder Keg or other guy, they know who they are, that's just what I call them, actually asked if Key Luke was the grandfather in Three Ninjas. And Derek, God bless him, he's like a babysitter on this podcast, and he said yes, he is. I don't know if Derek really thought he was the grandpa, or if he was just saying yes to shut them up like you do with a kid. Not true. Key Luke is Mr. Wing in this, in part 2. He's in a really shitty movie called Dead. The motherfucker's been acting since the 30s. The grandfather from Three Ninjas was Victor Wong. Victor Wong is also in Tremors. He's Egg Shen in Big Trouble in Little China. He is in Prince of Darkness, that John Carpenter film. So that's my little geek card coming out. The whole actually stuff, that nerds do. There's your admonishment. If you can find this, and if you're a fan of the movie, I highly recommend you give this a read. Really, really good. It does have some pictures in it. And what is neat is it actually has, where is it? It actually, eBay, it's cheap shit. It actually does have, you get to find out they're all everyone's last name. It actually does have a picture of Billy and Kate looking over the plans that Mrs. Deagle has to sell the town. And there is some deleted scenes in here that, are on the Blu-ray. Like, they do find Gerald in the, how does this go? They do find Gerald in the bank. He has lost his mind. That's an interesting scene. They talk about what happened to a lot of the people. Really downer. Pete, Corey Feldman, thinks he's going to get blamed for his teacher's death, by the Mogwai, runs away from home and is never heard from again. That's dark shit. Anyways, check this out if you're a fan of the movie. Check out yesterday's pod. It's a fun, nostalgic podcast. As of this recording, they're in their second season, and they're I think the theme is called Make Mine Marvel. They're doing nothing but 90s Marvel cartoons. Check it out. Just Google Yesterday's Pod. You'll get their website, their Twitter, all that crap. And then subscribe. Tell them I sent you. Give me all the credit. So with that, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Click the button. Tell me what you think about this. Other ideas I have. I'm going to read Howard the Duck because I know I've read some stuff and that is totally fucking bizarre. And that says something if you've seen Howard the Duck. So I'm going to have those videos sprinkled in. Finishing the Rocky franchise. Going to talk about nothing but movies I've never seen before. Week from this uploading, I'm talking to Whitey the White Guy on my channel, having him in for an interview, the guy that got me onto YouTube. And then a week from that, Deathmatch legend Madman Pondo will be interviewed on my channel. But other than that, movies I've never seen. I've rambled way too long. Check out the book. Check out yesterday's podcast. Annoy Derek and everybody else. Cheers.